Ralph Sevenor. Welcome to the Builders of the Alarm Industry. Today is August 7th, 2003. Special thanks to the Honeywell Security Group and Ron Rothman, president of Ademco, that has graciously provided their time, studio, and support in this project. This is a cooperative effort on behalf of NBFAA, National Burglar and Fire Alarm Association, SIA, Security Industry Association, and CSAA, Central Station Alarm Association, through the AIR Foundation. I'm delighted today to introduce Marty Raphael. Marty has over 30-plus years in the alarm industry, has a background in technology, and I'm going to ask Charlie Darsh to open it up. Charlie?
Thank you. Marty Raphael, you've had 30 years of experience. Can you just give us a little bit of background and how you got started in the industry?
Well, I was a sort of an outsider at that point. I had a small company called Ditro, and somebody named Nat Verger, who was head of Ademco at the time, and Leo Goodhart, they were improving their production, and they needed some test equipment rather than somebody just sitting at a table and turning a switch to do the sequential testing. And they found our company name in a industry book and called me in to see what I could propose to them. Well, they liked it, and I wasn't too far away from the physical plant. And working with Nat, we came up with we called an automatic tester, which we built and delivered to Ademco.
And what year was that?
This was in 1972. As the tester went in, and I got to know Nat more, and Nat really liked to find out how things worked. And in doing so, I found out how things in the alarm industry worked, and after a while, Nat really got interested and made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
So you've been with them since?
I've been with them since. Ademco needed some engineering at that time to convert from purely relay kind of work to a little more advanced equipment.
What changes have you seen in the industry, both positive and negative?
One of the first things that I got involved in was just to make a bell timer that would cut off the bell rather than ringing forever. And there was something here, but it was very unreliable. The bell would ring anywhere from 3 minutes to maybe 20 minutes, and you couldn't control it much better than that. We changed that circuit, and we incorporated it into some of the equipment. But in general, the use of solid state, of transistors, was just coming into the industry at the time, and the reliability was a severe problem. Nat Verger liked relays. He knew how relays worked. If the relay didn't work too well, you got a little file and filed a contact, and it started working again. And we started incorporating transistors into the equipment and slowly built up the confidence of both the industry and Nat so that we could move ahead with additional equipment like that.
It was like black magic at that time.
It was black magic, and of course since then solid state has taken over, microcomputers have taken over, various other new technologies have come into being.
What were some of the lessons that were learned? Because obviously this is a whole new technology, so you've got issues such as RF or issues such as voltage fluctuations. That lightning certainly was a big thing, you know, all this. So maybe you can share some of the earlier lessons that everyone learned on that.
Well, lightning certainly was a problem. Not only lightning, but transients on the power line. In fact, we still some days get transients that in a low voltage circuit will blow out 400 volt components. But in those days, nobody knew too much about the extent of the transients, and we did get panels back because of breakdown. It slowly improved to where the transient problem is known, is protected nowadays. The only problem is you cannot protect the circuit. When we get a panel back that has the copper burnt off the board, there's really nothing much you can do about that.
We've all seen that, haven't we?
And when, then the next step is going from solid-state components to microprocessor-based components.
Right.
And when was that done? And then what were the problems and also the challenges that you had?
Well, microcomputers started, some like 20 years ago with small units where the programming was actually done step by step, and you tested it step by step. The first microcomputer unit that Ademco manufactured was a digital communicator. It used...
What model was that?
I believe that was the 662. Instead of programming with any kind of a switch setup, we actually use very small screws and nuts in holes to make a connection between the two sides of the printed circuit board. Very difficult programming at that time. Obviously has been many advances in both the memories and the microcomputers, to where the point is now that you can program it and have the memory stored even though the power shuts down. And of course the control panels are now all microcomputer controlled. Trying to make them adapt to the user's method of operating has been a problem and is currently ongoing. I think other people mentioned before about the false alarms. To get a microcomputer panel that can adapt itself to the way the user operates the system, I think will reduce false alarms in the future.
That probably leads into a question that I have. In the marketing and technology changes that you've seen, where do you see us going from here? Do you have any ideas or any thoughts as to where the industry might be headed?
Well, I think the sensor part of the industry is in good shape. We changed sensors from switches and space protection sensors like ultrasonics and infrared sensors to very reliable units nowadays. One of the things that I hope can be done in the future is actually have user voice recognition for arming and disarming the system. I think that'll go a long way to prevent false alarms. In addition, the microcomputer and the communication systems, I think, will improve. Right now, we use the telephone mainly to communicate to the central stations. In the future, I think there'll be much more radio contact.
You mean long-range radio?
Long-range radio or cell phone type operation. This country has a good telephone system, but many other countries do not, and I think that's will change. I think the internet will be a method of communicating, certainly.
What would you consider the most significant event or events that you have seen in the alarm industry?
I think one of the things that enabled alarm systems to really proliferate was the use of short-range radio, the ability to put a sensor on a window or a door or smoke detector and enable it to be incorporated into the system without wiring it directly. I think this allowed systems to be much more protective of the installation. It made the installation easier. It made the installer's problem a lot easier. And right now, the reliability and the custom integrated circuits, I think, have really made the alarm industry stable in terms of the sensors. In terms of the control of the system, I think in the future there is going to be a sort of a little debate between whether it's going to be the separate alarm system in control or a house automation. And I think in the long run, these two systems will be combined.
So it will be integrated. One will integrate one function with another. Is that
Right. I think when somebody gets into making a home control system and it gets out in volume, a separate alarm system will have great difficulty in competing.
Let me know any really great memory in your career that had a positive effect as well as an impact on you.
Well, when I first got here, I think it might not have seemed positive at the time, but the way Nat Verga was running the company and questioning and making sure that everything was working properly, and I think did affect me. I had the advantage of coming in, having delivered some test equipment, so he knew that I could do some positive work. Nat questioned the people that were here to know the details of what they were doing. And if they couldn't follow through, giving him the details and showing that the final system incorporated what they had planned, he was not too happy. And I think I followed through on this, and that if somebody creates a system in the beginning, but by the time it's finished, it does not look like the same system or operate like that system, the reliability and its use may not be what you think it is. So I think the fact that reliability and operation should be designed in the beginning was a major impact.
You must have a funny or anecdotal story to tell about the industry in the many years that you've been in it.
Well, probably the thing that got me into the industry in depth was after I was here a relatively short time. At that time, ultrasonic detectors were the method of determining whether or not somebody was moving in an area.
What model was that?
Oh, I think that was the 351 or 350 at that time. We were having false alarm problems, and I was given the job of investigating why. Well, we set up some units in our factory area and let them run overnight. And we did get false alarms. And we had no idea why. So the next night we put a strip chart recorder on to see if we could determine when it was happening. And again, we got false alarms. Well, it happened that the factory was in an old bakery building. And we said, well, maybe there are things walking around at night that we don't see. Let's set up a video camera. They'll take a picture every second or so and see what we can see and try to match it to the time of the false alarms. We set that up, and we had to put a light up so we could look around, and ran it next night, and again we got false alarms. Only this time we got more, and we were puzzled until we started running that videotape very slowly and saw little things flying through the air. Well, the next day, during that day, we went out and bought some fly paper and put that up next to the camera and to the ultrasonic. And sure enough, by the next morning, we had a lot of little flies. And I think you have to realize that a fly coming close to your face can look like a 747, and that's what was happening to the ultrasonics. And once we knew what was happening, we did put a fix in.
How do you believe consumers view our products and services, and how has it changed?
The consumer, I have to put two levels. One is the household, and the other is a commercial establishment. I think the household user wants to operate the system the way they want to operate each day relatively simply. There's a saying in the whole electronics industry of making a new product and with the initials KISS, keep it simple, stupid. In other words, get the operation of the system as simple as possible for the intended operation. Do not have a very long operating manual or try to do things that will confuse the user. This is the cause of some false alarms. For the commercial user, it goes one step further. They have to understand the system, understand, again, only what they're using, and keep that relatively simple. I think both those, and as I said before, with possible voice recognition, I think the systems can be stable.
Thank you.
Great.
We enjoyed
Yes.
hearing your
Thanks
comments.
for spending the time. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it.
you very,
Thank
very
you.
much.
Great having you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.